Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. As always, I am your host, Joshua David, and we are having a great time talking about the stock market, how it works, different ways you as average investors can use the market for different types of strategies. We have multiple strategies in the markets, and then we're going to talk about one of the best ones here coming up is different income strategies coming up. But if you did miss tickets to that investing class that we do locally here in Denver, Colorado, Bloomington, Minnesota, and Atlanta, Georgia, so if you're in any of these locations, we have a physical academy to train people how to get started in the financial markets. You can text the word invest to the number 484848. That's text the word invest to the number 484848 for 2 tickets. When you text in, you're going to receive a text right back with a link. You have to click the link, pick a date that works the best on your schedule. We'll also make sure we get you a call to find the date that works the best for you. So as I mentioned in that last section, L, we talked about you need different income strategies with what's happening in the markets because especially this inflation, you have inflation rising, so people don't have enough to spend now. So you need multiple income strategies to really do a few different things. One, obviously to live the life that you choose to live. That's the goal that I'm assuming most people have, right? So that is one goal. The next goal would be it takes extra income to fill your wealth bucket. So basically extra income to fund your retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, whatever that may be. And with inflation rising, people have less. So you need to look at different avenues. Some people look at multiple things. We're probably, I'm assuming there's a lot of people listening right now, thousands of people that are probably looking at the market for that potential.
Great.
So let's talk about that. What are some of the income strategies that we teach at Online Trading Academy for regular people? And by the way, you don't have to be a broker. You don't have to be an advisor or have a certification to trade and invest. You just have to learn and get the right education. So how do you help people get started?
Well, I think it's important to, first of all, understand that the financial market isn't just a single entity. You need to think about it as multiple markets. And whatever your goal is, if you're looking for income, there are certain parts of the market, certain assets and strategies that are really beneficial to you if you're looking for income. Because when you think about it, what is income? That is extra cash that you get on a short-term basis. It's not money that you are looking at achieving or getting in 10 or 20 or 30 years. If you need extra income, you probably need it now.
And that's a fact. That's just not our opinion. That's a fact.
It is a fact. And if you're looking at, if you're young and you're just putting together a portfolio for your retirement years, there's different ways of investing for that. But the interesting thing is that when people talk about income, they always just talk about their job, income from a job. And when we're talking about additional sources of income, immediately they go to thinking about an additional job, a second or third
That's
job.
what we're
or
taught
fourth
as a
job.
young age.
Exactly. And that's what Wall Street sometimes tells you, get another job, work overtime, do things like that. Well, income can be achieved in a way that is different than income from your job. In fact, I think this is interesting. In his book, Retire Young, Retire Rich,
Whose book is that?
Robert Kiyosaki,
Okay.
he said this, and this is really true. Earned income, that's income from your job, is the worst source of income for several reasons. First, it's the highest taxed income.
Yeah.
Second, you have to work hard for it, and it absorbs all your valuable free time. Third, there's limited leverage in it, and that the only way to earn more is to work longer and harder. And then finally, there's precious little residual value in this income in that each day you have to start afresh again.
Yeah.
And those are great points. So how do you achieve an income other than a job? Well, there's different assets within the markets that are, as I mentioned, the most beneficial for income.
We'll just have the different strategies for those.
They're different strategies, and they're more short-term in their lifespan. And we're talking about things like the futures market, the options market, the foreign exchange market, markets that most of you listening probably don't know that much about, or if you know anything about it, mostly it's fear. You've heard of people that have lost money. Those are people that didn't learn how to do it the right way.
They weren't educated. It's easy to get in the market right now. You just have to open an account. That's the downfall. So you have to learn how to do it the proper way. This is like anything you do in your everyday life, education, but skill building.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much everything that you do, you got some kind of an education in how to do it. If you can walk, you learned how to walk. First you crawled, then you learned how to walk.
What happened to you?
I'm still in the crawling stage. And eventually,
You're back in the crawling stage.
eventually, at some point in time, maybe we go back to
Yeah.
that point. But that's a process, and education is the same thing. This is not something that is an overnight thing. It's something you need to work at. But when we talk about, I mentioned the S&P maybe going into a bear market according to Morgan Stanley. Does that mean everybody is going to lose?
No.
No, as a matter of fact, a lot of people, the Wall Street professionals, the hedge funds, the people like us that know how to trade, that is our best opportunity to have the potential to benefit.
Correct. I want to keep that a little teaser, Al, because there are strategies for down markets. I want you to explain that here in a little bit. But it's a great point because markets are changing, as you mentioned in the first segment.
Right.
But you talked about this Robert Kiyosaki book. What book was it again?
Retire young, retire rich, or retire,
Okay.
yeah, retire young, retire rich.
Yeah. So you mentioned, it says work more, work harder. I got to ask you an important question. I don't know the answer to this. And normally a host should know the answers to the questions they ask, but I didn't ask you because maybe you don't know either. Who invented that darn 40-hour work week?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know who invented it.
Well, whoever did, I'm sure most people want to find that person and maybe have a couple of choice words with them.
Yeah.
But that's the key, is not to work more or work harder, is to work right.
Correct.
And people that have a couple extra bucks that want to learn different income strategies, the market might be a place. That's a potential opportunity for people. And I'm assuming that's why a lot of people are listening to the show right now, is they're looking for those income strategies for whatever reason that may be. And we have investing classes actually, Al, here locally in Bloomington, Minnesota, Denver, Colorado, and Atlanta, Georgia. And we teach those different skills and strategies for those different goals and objectives that people have. So I want to give away tickets to an investing class locally at our academies here. And these are 2 hours. The great thing about this, they're free. And if you're new to the markets, it's a great way to get started. By the way, Al, what can you learn from these investing classes?
Well, a number of things. First of all, why price moves, what moves the market in general, what moves the price of individual assets, how can you identify in the future where that's going to happen, and that's the key. So we have a strategy, core strategy, which we talk about in these workshops. We talk about the different assets that are available. As I mentioned, futures, Forex, options, maybe a little bit about cryptocurrencies. Those are sources of income. We talk about risk management. And I think this is the number one most important thing. And hopefully this will help you to achieve some confidence and not fear the market. Is the number one thing that we teach that everybody should know that most people don't start with is risk management.
Correct. Yep.
And you have to always know, if you are going to get into any kind of a trade or investment, you have to know when to get out if you're wrong and when to get out if you're right. And those are the things we talk about. How do you do that? How do you achieve that? And then why some of those assets like futures, Forex, and options, why those might be most beneficial to you, why most of our students end up actually learning more about those and not necessarily stock, certainly not mutual funds.
Yeah,
we talk a little bit about that.
Hey, you can't swear on the word. That's the MF word we can't swear talk about on air.
But if you have any interest in achieving some additional income, are the markets, and I'm not going to call it a market because the financial market is several markets, and is it the right thing for you? Is this right to take the next step? Or
That's what you can really find out there, Al. But we have a lot of listeners that want to get started with this, right? So get your phones ready. I'm gonna give a text number here, but there's different strategies that Wall Street uses for income in the market. Well, these strategies and techniques are available to us. You just have to learn it. And as Al mentioned, everybody comes to these investing classes, all types of people, and that want to learn how to get started. So you can text right now. So text the word invest to the number 484848. If you live in locations of Denver, Colorado, Bloomington, Minnesota, or Atlanta, Georgia, text the word invest to the number 484848 for tickets to this free investing class locally, hands-on. It's actually a physical place to go to learn how to trade and invest in the financial markets. And as Al mentioned, all the markets. So Al, you were talking about, I gave a little teaser there about strategies for down markets, because things are changing right now. And I was actually having a conversation, I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago on air with a friend, and they were talking about, hey, it was so easy to make money back then, is what they said. Well, and he goes, but things are changing. I pretty much gave it back. And I think that's what a lot of people have done because they don't have those downward strategies. Talk about that.
Yeah, in fact, we're seeing so many people coming in saying, I was feeling so great over the last few years. I did really well, and you should have because the market you could have. And I think last week I called it
Throw and stick
throw
or
and
pop and
stick,
stop or something.
yeah, throw and
Whatever
stick,
whatever it was.
and yeah, in that rising tide, rising tide raises all boats. That was kind of the market that we had. Buy and hold worked during that time period, but we're seeing all sorts of people coming in now saying, "This first quarter, I just got hammered. I'm so depressed, and maybe even thinking about not staying in the market, which is the wrong thing to do."
Yeah. So
But
what can people do differently now that markets are changed?
well, most of those people did not have a risk strategy in place,
Okay.
and they bought into that buy and hold strategy, which tells you not to worry about drawdowns. Just hold on, buckle your seatbelt,
But
and we'll hold your hand through these bad times.
if you're listening right now, you probably can cite this with me. We're in it for the long
Long
haul.
term. Yeah, that's
Uh,
right.
Markets always
Come
back.
back.
But you know what? There's strategies if it doesn't come back. There's strategies for that down market. So that's the difference between a potential small return over a long period of time because time is what you lose,
Right.
right? So different strategies for up markets and down markets. What's that concept called?
Well, shorting is that concept. There's two sides of the market. There's the long side, the short side. Most people, if they are in the market, are just participating on the long side. In other
Yep.
words, you buy something, it has to go up in value for you to benefit. Well, things don't always go up, and we're seeing that in this quarter. Uh, Everybody who looked at their portfolio and saw a big loss participated in something that we don't ever want you to do, and that's participate in a big loss. If you take a small loss, if you learn how to to manage risk, basically learn how to lose, then every loss is going to be a small loss. You eliminate big losses. That's what keeps you in the market, so to speak. That's what's going to provide the opportunity for you to be successful long term.
The key is kind of the opposite of that term. They say one step forward, two step back. It's actually two steps forward, one step back. And you're always moving forward. And it's longevity in the markets. If people are looking for longevity in the markets, you need strategies for up markets. Everybody knows that. You need strategies for down markets, and it's called shorting. That's the
Right.
concept. And you talk about that in these investing classes, Al. You teach these locally here. I do as well. And we talk about how these markets are great down. I mean,
Mhm.
people think red is bad. Red is actually really, really good. That's one of my favorite colors,
Yeah.
right?
It's just an opportunity in a different direction.
Exactly. It's like having a car. And I'm assuming most people may have drove today that, when they're listening to the show or the day before. And did they only drive in forward, which is drive? They probably drove in reverse to get out of their parking spot, whatever that may be. So that's the key, is having multiple directional strategies. And that's what we teach at Online Trading Academy. Not worrying about which way the market goes. You just want it to move.
Right.
And these investing classes locally at our academies in Bloomington, Minnesota, Denver, Colorado, and Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're in any one of these locations, investing with confidence is being played all over the country, right? And if you're in Denver, Bloomington, or Atlanta, come to one of these investing classes and learn those techniques, learn what those concepts are, and then build the skills to have the opportunity. And the key is, and I like to talk about this all the time, is to be able to live life how you choose to live. And I think
Right.
that's the goal of everybody. Some people don't achieve that. It's just the way it is.
Mhm.
But if you put the odds in your favor, it might be a little bit better. I mean, that's the key right there,
Yeah.
is the odds in your favor. So right now, get your phones ready for some tickets. I'm going to give a phone call first. You can call right now. Call 888-682-6466 for 2 tickets. When you call in, we're going to answer. We'll have our people answer. Try to find a date that works for you, but also let them know that Josh said to tell you what you wanted to learn in this class. So then we can kind of use this and help our people as far as what you're looking to learn. So if you're looking more on income strategies or more of a down market, let our people know so we know we can talk about that in these investing classes. Call 888-682-6466 or text the word invest to the number 484848 for 2 tickets for the investing class locally here in Atlanta, Denver, and Bloomington. Al, coming up next, we had a great show so far. We're talking about some different income strategies, up markets, down markets. Let's talk about that same thing, but more in the retirement concept. 401ks, IRAs, different ways to have the opportunity to live the life how you choose to live. This is Josh and Al, Investing with Confidence. We'll be right back.